actually reveal to you where my studio is today.
Yay!
Jump into the coach boat and they hug each other and they celebrate together because it's such a teamwork.
It's just that now we have to be super conscious that we're producing more waste, and we've got to be better at giving it a second use.
We were going to try and pledge to make these changes, and then we thought actually it'd be really cool if other athletes, other sailors could get on board to kind of leave no trace or leave wherever you've been cleaner than how you found it.
We are going to sail Port Stephens.
I think we pretty much cooked dinner for everybody.
Dennis Thompson is a PRO. Miss Stacey Jackson.
Yeah, do you think you could smuggle a sausage sandwich across the border for me?
Which of you was on board when this happened?
I was on the weather side about going underwater, holding my breath. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I was on the leeward side of the boat, getting blasted with water from behind. So
wasn't that the 47 knots, you guys?
Yeah.
It was a really good cause to cover all of those boats that don't normally get covered.
This is Nick Douglas for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, keeping you covered for your Rolex Sydney Hobart coverage.
If we don't have an equal education system for girls and boys, women will never be equal.
Girls have to look like this, be like that, be like this, do that. But when you're at sea, you don't have to wash, you don't have to dress properly, you don't have to do your hair. It sounds like being in lockdown.
I love it. I mean, seriously, I have washed my hair for you for the first time in a very long time. And
we could continue all night, I'm sure, hearing your beautiful stories and your memories. But again, I just want to reiterate, it's not 7 years that you've served your country or inspired others. It's definitely been a lifetime. And for me, before I was born. So
thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. And what you're doing is terrific for the sport and terrific for sailing. And as I said at the start of this little interview, you know, this whole online thing is just a game changer. So I think it's really, really exciting.
I think you'll agree a fourth time is that it was so lovely to have you guys on the show tonight and to see you catching up and to reminisce about so many great times that you've been involved with. And thanks for everything that you've given to sailing. It's been amazing.
Thanks, Nick. You're doing a great job.
Doing my best.
Thank you, Nick.
Trying to follow in your footsteps.
2,000 participants.
2,000 participants. 29 people got it correct. What was the name of the New York Yacht Club defending boat in the 1887 America's Cup? And have a little bit of a think about the theme for this week. Was it A, Mayflower, B, Vigilant, C, Volunteer, or D?
It had to be volunteer, Nick.
Indeed!
I know you all weren't around when that race was held, but I was 14 years old in 1983. When Liberty lost to Australia 2. And what an incredible course that one race put on the America's Cup and really for our sport. And it's amazing. A couple weeks ago, New York Yacht Club they released a 3-part series with Dennis. And Dennis was talking about that last day, and he was talking about the regatta. And, you know, I think what I took away from it was he felt that they were lucky to get that far into the series and to get to a sudden death winner take all race, because he knew Australia 2 was a lot faster. And it's fascinating to hear, from those guys, the details of that race. And because it has so much history in our sport and everything, that it's awesome to listen to those just nuggets of absolute America's Cup gold. Yeah.
Make 2021 one hell of a year. So
yeah, absolutely. Be rude not to.
And I guess we'll see everybody in 2022.
Yes, we will.
Well, I hope before that, Nick.
Fingers crossed. Indeed, yeah, for sure. And I'm sorry.
Keep up the good work, Nick. This is fantastic. Thank you for everything you do for the sailing community, keeping everybody informed and making it fun. So thank you.
Oh, I'm really lucky that it's such a great sport and that I'm able to have so many family members around the world. Basically, is how I feel, and I'm just trying to help my family. That's all. Very lucky. And here is about where I would insert a clip of Seb and I doing the soaker in the backseat of Summer's car on the way to the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club. But I'll save Seb the embarrassment. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, adventurers. Very excited to be back for episode 4 of season 2. That's a recap of season 1 that you've just seen. Everything from the Trofeo Princesa Sofia regatta, which didn't go ahead, chatting with Jesus Renato. We've spoken to Hannah Mills. We've spoken to David Turton from the SEABIN project. We've covered the Newport Bermuda race. We've spoken to the US SailGP team. We've spoken to John Bertrand. This season so far, we've spoken to Ian Murray, big fella, Andrew Dog Palfrey, Kay Cotty last week, and this week's guest is just as awesome. Another sailing diehard. Very excited to have her with us. But in the interim, we better just have a little bit of a chat with someone who's been away for a few weeks. Tiana! She's back.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you, Nick?
I'm good. It's nice to have you back on deck, ready to answer everybody's questions on social.
Absolutely. Everyone's already buzzing on social media.
Excellent. Good to see you. Make sure you keep me posted, and I know that everyone will be keeping tabs. So what we might do, T, is get straight into our first segment, which is
sailing news in 60 seconds-ish.
Great work there, T, bringing us in. She hates it when I make her full screen, so I'll go back to half screen. So, American Magic has splashed in Auckland. As expected, they were hoping to be sailing by July 20th. Hopefully, they'll get out on the water this week. The first America's Cup challenger to be on the water. Great to see. The 2020 TP52 series has finally halted, one of the last major circuits to actually bring in a cancellation following the pesky COVID-19 virus. Of course, we all know that it's way more important to be staying safe this year, and I hope everybody is staying home if they have the option to, just like myself and Tiana. The Olympics were set to start yesterday, so it's a year to go until we will have the 2020 Olympics. So very excited to be seeing that. The ocean race, as we heard last year, have confirmed in a press conference that they will have a 12-month postponement, and no stranger to the amazing ocean race. And also the Olympics is our guest of the week this week. We might bring her in with Tiana on screen because I have missed T. It's Miss Carolijn Brouwer. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Nick. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, you're so welcome. Now, where are you hiding?
I'm hiding at home in Berkeley Vale, Central Coast, Australia, where I've been hiding for probably the last 4 or 5 months now.
Pretty lovely. You're with your family as well.
Yes. Darren's actually just about to come back from a training camp in Mooloolaba in Queensland. And Kyle's playing with one of his friends. But yeah, it's been quite an unusual time, actually. The three of us at home. It doesn't happen very often. And the three of us have been at home for quite a few months. I remember a couple of months ago, just when COVID was starting, Darren and I were talking, and we said, like, well, we probably won't see much of each other until August or after August, after the game's finished. And now we've been at home for 5-6 months, and we've seen each other every day since. And we haven't kicked each other out of the house yet, and all is going very well. So very happy. It's been different for us as a family, but it's definitely been enjoyable.
I think for many sailing families, so to speak, this is probably the most time they've spent together too. But you've been out sailing. You've had plenty of adventures.
Oh, yeah, of course. How can you not? You know, I have to start by saying that we've been pretty lucky here in Australia, I think, where we live. It's obviously very outdoorsy. We have a lot of space, so even when we weren't in full lockdown, but there were plenty of restrictions, you know, we still managed to be able to play outside and have the lake as our playground. So yeah, extremely lucky. Haven't done that much sailing, but yeah, it definitely, when it gets itchy, I do have the opportunity to jump on the A and foil around the lake a little bit. So yeah, very lucky there.
I think I don't have a copy of the video, but I think a few of us have seen the footage of you ripping past Darren on the A class. It must be fun pushing each other, at least. You probably haven't had so much time sailing against each other for a while.
No, we call it quality time when we get to go out on the lake and sail together on the, or sail against each other on the A class. But yeah, definitely there as well. I'm just very lucky. There's a great bunch of guys up at the lake, at Lake Macquarie, and we try and get on the boat once a week on the weekend. And they're all very good A-class sailors, and yeah, so I'm learning heaps, learning a lot from them, and yeah, very lucky to be part of that group, and an amazing bunch of guys, and we have a lot of fun. We learn from each other, we push each other, and yeah, rolling Darren was obviously a little moment of glory, but the weekend after he did it back to me, so it didn't last very long.
And we didn't see that video anywhere, sadly.
No, and I think I probably wasn't allowed to post it because I think it was a weekday. It was at the end of the week, and he said, I might have to be at work right now, so maybe you shouldn't be posting that. So,
but we didn't just tell the whole world that. That's all good.
Exactly.
But for you, I mean, you're enjoying Australia right now, but you grew up sailing in the Netherlands, where you're from. What got you into sailing in the first place?
It's definitely my parents, I think, that got me into sailing. I remember when I was a little girl, I was always struggling. There was always so much to do on the weekends, because sailing generally happened on the weekends. And, you know, there's your friends, and there's sleepovers, and there's parties, and you want to go to the mall and the movies, and, you know, all the regattas were on the weekend. So it was, yeah, I remember always asking my dad, oh, what do I do? What do I do? Why does everything have to be on the same weekend and happen to be at the same time? But yeah, my parents were not so much sailors, but they were more rowers. So we're definitely a water sports family. And yeah, my dad's very competitive. And so, yeah, I think just a combination of having surrounded by water. And yeah, slowly we got into sailing. I have an older brother, and he was sailing the Optimist. And when he got a new Optimist, I got his old Optimist. And yeah, I started doing a little bit of racing. And yeah, it was only when I started beating my brother in some of the races at our local sailing club is that, yeah, I really started to enjoy it more and more. And yeah, slowly, yeah, I was almost sailing every day.
Far out. And so on and so forth. And now I think we might go to our quiz, which we've shown Carolyn. And actually, a shout out to the Sailing Association in Netherlands. They actually shared the quiz as well, which is pretty cool. So we've had a few people taking part, which is great fun. And the first question that we kick off with in the quiz, I believe, I'm just going to double check myself, but I think it's how many Olympics have you taken part in? And you have taken part in 3 Olympics, as far as we could tell. That's a massive achievement in itself. So the first was
3 is the correct answer.
Yes, 3. So the first was in the 470 in Sydney. Yay!
Exactly. Yeah, Sydney was my Sydney 2000 were my first Olympics in the 470, and I was actually probably meant to go to the Sydney Olympics in the Europe class, in the Europe dinghy, which was the single-handed dinghy for women at the time. But we had, as you know, in the Olympics, you can only have one rep per nation in every discipline. And so we had to have a battle within the Netherlands as to who would get the spot in the Europe dinghy. And we were numbers 1 and 2 of the world ranking. Yeah, I think Australians had the same issue in, for example, the laser class. So it was pretty tough, but you knew that whoever would win the national selection was probably going to be a medal favorite. Unfortunately, I did not win the national selection in Holland, and Margriet Matthijssen, she ended up going to the Sydney Olympics in the Europe dinghy and came home with a silver medal. So she did a very good job. And yeah, I did a crash campaign in the 470, and yeah, within 8 months, I think we learned how to. I found myself a partner. We learned how to sail the boat, and we won the Dutch trials, and we made it to the Sydney Olympics. But yeah, that was about where it ended, really.
Yeah, incredible. But then in 2004, you got your chance to go into Europe.
Yes, exactly. Well, that was my revenge. I needed to prove. I still wanted to prove something in the Europe class, and I think the Europe is honestly one of the nicest dinghies I've sailed. It's a really fine boat. It's like a small fin in a way, and with a carbon mast, and there was quite a technical boat, and I enjoyed that side of it as well. So it was nice to go back in the Europe dinghy, and Margriet, who was my biggest opponent, we sort of swapped. She then went into the 470, so we wouldn't run into the same problem 4 years later. So yes, I ended up doing Athens 2004 in the Europe dinghy, and then they removed the Europe dinghy from the Olympic program, unfortunately, and replaced it by the laser radial. And that's how I ended up going to the Beijing Olympics in 2008 in the tornado class. I thought I'd try something different.
Representing Belgium.
Yes, that's right, representing Belgium. So I've been around the world, haven't I?
I think that's
did
fantastic.
2 Olympics for Holland, and yeah, 1 for Belgium. And it was when we started sailing tornado, I was sailing with Seb, who's Belgian. Yeah. And we sort of left it in the middle. I remember the first regatta we did in Europe, we had to put a country code in our sail, and we put EUR for Europe.
Europe.
And we just left it in the middle. And everyone asking us, and we said, we don't know yet whether we're going to sail for the Netherlands or for Belgium. We don't have to decide that yet. And in the end, we were very welcomed in Belgium by the Belgian Federation. They were very nice to us. Seb had won a silver medal in the Finn class, and Belgium made medals. So they welcomed us with open arms. And in Holland at the time, I think there was 4 or 5 very competitive tornado teams.
Oh golly!
So yeah, after a few months, we just took the wise decision and chose to sail for Belgium. We still had to qualify and get results at the different major championships. But yeah, Belgium was the safe decision.
Yeah, and you didn't need to go through what you did in the 2000 Olympic lead up either.
No, that's true. Although I have to say that does bring you to a higher level. You know, having a very, very strong competition within your own country does push each sailor to their limits, and that's how you get very good results as well. So in a way, we missed that in Belgium. You know, we were always having to go abroad or search for training partners in other countries, and there was never. You know, it was a race against the clock. You know, Seb coming from the Finn and me coming from the Europe into a multi-hull was like, you know, asking a 200-meter runner or sprinter to run a marathon. You know, sailing is sailing, but it's a completely different discipline. We've gone from, you know, years of a hiking boat to all of a sudden having to both trapeze and fly a hull downwind, so with 2 hulls. So, you know, it was a very, very big change for us. So we were just, fighting the clock and fighting ourselves to get as good as we could. So we probably in that discipline didn't really need the national competition. But I definitely think it's a good thing for the best results. You want to have strong competition in your own country.
Especially for the country, and perhaps this is where your love of multi-hulls started. We were talking about the A-class just before, but you seemed to fall in love with it, and not only competed for a different country, being Belgium, but you were the only female in what was a male or open event, just a sailor.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the Tornado at the time, the Tornado is a really, really cool boat. It's an awesome boat. It's, you know, with all the foiling going on nowadays, it's probably outdated a bit, but it is a really, really nice boat to sail. And the high performance sailing that we got into, you know, it really pushed us to our limits.
Yeah.
And at the time, the Tornado is what they called an open discipline, and which generally meant that there was mostly only men sailing the boat. But yeah, I decided that, you know, not having the Europe anymore and the laser radial probably for myself being a step back in my sailing career, having come from a boat like the Europe. I thought the Tornado was just a better challenge for me. It also, you know, being high performance involved a little bit more technical sailing. So yeah, we went for it, and the fact that there was not very many women is a shame. I think, you know, in the NACRA 17 at the moment, it's, I think, better balanced as to helm and crew physicality. In the Tornado, it being such a wide boat, the crew work, having to do the main sheet upwind and the spinnaker sheet downwind, the loads were quite high on the Tornado. So I think I can comfortably say that Seb and I would not be able to be in different positions. So him as a helm and me as a crew would probably not be as effective. So yeah, in the Tornado class, I think if you really want to be competitive, then you'd be seeing the girl at the helm and the guy crewing. But now with the NACRA 17, that's you know, the boat being shorter, less wide, and foiling, that's all changed. So it's a lot more balanced.
Which is great to see. Girls crewing or skippering. I mean, the top Spanish team is a female skipper. The top Australian team is a male skipper. So as you say, all of the combinations. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's awesome to see what's going on now in the NACRA 17. You know, there's a lot of girls out there that have really lifted the game and are just as competitive as the guys. So yeah, it's really cool to see. I'm a little jealous in a way.
And you probably hear a lot, given that Darren Bundock is your husband and is coaching the Australian team. He also won a silver in the Tornado at that Olympics that you raced in. So you have raced against each other, just for those who don't know.
Yeah, we raced at multiple championships, world championships, and we raced each other at the Beijing Olympics. That's right.
Which is amazing. I love that. I think there wouldn't be that many people who have raced against each other in the same boat at the Olympics, which is pretty cool. Well, we might move on to the next question, but first we have a question from the audience, which is there any validity to the rumour that you and Bundy might put together a mixed crew for the keelboat for 2024?
No, that's not going to happen.
I know. I could have blown it out of the water.
Yeah, no. Bundy is not an offshore sailor. Let me make that clear.
Whereas you have dipped your toes in everything.
Yeah, he cannot spend the night at sea. That wouldn't go very well.
Answered. There you go.
And he's Australian and I'm Dutch, so it's very simple.
Exactly. It'd be multi-country entry. You can't really write Atlantic or Pacific on the entry on your sales like you did with Europe.
I think in Bundy's case, I think it's once a multi-wholesaler, always a multi-wholesaler.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Alrighty, the next question is: in what years, or no, how many times have you won the ISAF World Sailor of the Year award? Was it 1, 2, 3, or 4 times? And there was we've already answered this one, which is when did you represent Belgium? And that was in 2008. And then, how many times have you won Rolex Sailor of the Year? It's twice. And we had a bonus for who could guess the years. I think we only had 3 people, Tiana, guess the years.
Only 2 people guessed both years correctly.
So there you go. 1998, we believe, and 2018.
20 years apart.
Yeah.
Makes me feel old.
No, it should make you feel incredibly accomplished. But 1998, what was the highlight there?
1998 would have been in the Europe dinghy. Mm-hmm. And I think that I had a pretty good year then. I remember finishing uni in 1998 as well. And I remember having a chat to my dad, and he wanted me I finished uni to go and look for a job and, sit in an office Monday to Friday and earn money. And I asked permission to my dad I said, I finished uni. Let me just sail, because during my uni years, I'd always, I think I'd done a fairly good job at combining both my sailing and my studies. And I think one complemented the other. When I was sailing, I always had my books with me and I was doing a little bit of studying. But it was more like a switch, you go from a sailing event, you come back to uni and you switch over and you concentrate on your studies for a week or 2 or 3, and then you go back sailing again. And that worked quite well for me. And all of a sudden that was gone, the uni, I was finished and it was just the sailing left. And I asked my dad, listen, I'm just going to do 1 year of just sailing and see how I go. Because I'd never done that before. And then, we can have a chat again in 1 year's time. And, maybe I'll still end up in an office, but we'll see where we're at in 1 year's time. And well, that was 1998. I think I won pretty much every Europe event on the calendar, including the Europeans, the Worlds, and the World Cup event. So I guess that's how I became World Sailor of the Year that year.
Yes, and then, as we know, you didn't go on to represent at the Olympics, but then swapped to the 470. But the highlight year in 1998, and then 20 years later, one of the first females to win the Volvo Ocean Race, now the Ocean Race. So 2 very different forms of sailing.
Yeah, but I think that's what's really cool about it, that's possible in sailing, that you can be World Sailor of the Year for what you've achieved in an Olympic discipline, and then do it again in an offshore discipline in the Volvo Ocean Race. And that's what's so great about sailing. You have so many different disciplines of the sport, you can. There's never. It's a never-ending story. In sailing, you can always keep learning. There's no day that's the same as the next day, so it never gets boring. It's never a dull moment, and that's why it's such a great sport.
Indeed, and you've dipped your toes in. Not dipped your toes. You spent a large amount of time doing dinghy sailing at Olympic level in both monohulls and multi-hulls, hiking, trapezing, offshore sailing, foiling now. You've done every aspect of our sport, so to speak. Not solo offshore.
No, that I'm not getting into that.
No. That's a special breed.
One thing. Yeah, I'll leave it to the nutcases. And I take my hats off for, you know, I've been watching Sam Davies do the Vendée Arctique last week, and an amazing result, right up there with the top guys. And yeah, I take my hat off for what she's done and what she does and what she's going to do. And you know, she was our skipper with Team SCA.
Yep.
And it's amazing. I remember when I think it was at the beginning in Lanzarote at our training base with Team SCA, and the coaches were asking us how many miles we'd done. And you know, I'd had my experience with Amer Sports in 2001, 2002, having done just the 2 Southern Ocean legs.
Yeah.
So I sort of added up all the round the cairns racing I'd done in my Olympic sailing, and hoping I was getting close to 40,000 miles that I'd done. And then Sam got asked a question, and back then she'd already done 250,000 miles. You know, it's just amazing.
Far out.
What she's done in her career. So no, I think I'm more of a team player. You know, I've done my single-handed sailing in a dinghy, but when it comes to offshore sailing, I think I'm more of a team person, and I'll leave that to that. I've considered double-handed.
Yeah.
I've considered that just because living in Lorient in France, which is obviously the mecca of offshore and single-handed and double-handed
and short-handed,
offshore sailing, especially short-handed. I really learned to appreciate when they were training for the Solitaire, for the Figaro, how intense that is, and it's also a beautiful part of the sport. So. But yeah, no, I'll stick to team sailing and to sailing in bigger teams in offshore sailing.
I agree with you completely. We've had a few comments online. Bundy on a keelboat, you must be joking. Someone said they had a crush on you in 1998.
Oh,
so that's quite fun.
Come forward.
And someone said, who wasn't busy doing the coaching for the 470 Dutch between racing himself at that time. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe Bundy was coaching somebody as well as racing, or your person was coaching somebody else. I don't understand, Darren. He can tell me later what he meant. But it sounds like there's a few people watching, which is really interesting. And the next question, which I actually I really like, because it's a bit of a trick question, but we took it to the maximum, which is how many times has Carolyn competed in the Volvo Ocean Race is the next question. So you've won that Rolex Award twice, and you've competed in the Volvo Ocean Race technically 3 times. But when you were starting with Dongfeng, we were calling it your 2.5th, so to speak, because as you said, you did do the 2 Southern Ocean legs with Amer Sports 2, and you did the full lap with Team SCA and the full lap with Dongfeng.
That's right.
So 3 to those people who got smart. That's the answer, and we're sticking with it. But Amer Sports 2 was a pretty cool program as well.
Amer Sports 2 was an amazing program. You know, at the time, back then there was a lot more 2-boat programs, and Amer Sports being one of them. And I guess, you know, there's the opportunity for the sponsor to then do something different with the second team. You know, you have your top team, which is the team that's aiming to win the race. And then, yeah, with your second boat, that, you know, you might as well send it around the world as well. And yeah, Amer Sports chose for a women's team. I guess, you know, it was put together quite late. So you knew that even though we were training with the guys, you know, we were on a big learning curve. You just had to be realistic that you weren't really going to win the race. So you had to sort of have a different goal. And I guess just at the time, having a women's boat in the race is a story on its own, you know. And yeah, we just went out there and tried to do as best as we can and prove that we can sail from A to B and be competitive as well. And I think, yeah, towards the end of the race, we did that. And yeah, it was an awesome project to be part of. You know, for me, it was my first introduction to offshore sailing, and it was quite an introduction, especially going straight into the Southern Ocean. But yeah, I remember arriving into Sydney after 20 days at sea and saying, let's go back again tomorrow. You know, I want to do this again. And I was just, you know, getting the hang of it and starting to feel and to getting a taste of what offshore racing was really about. And yeah, from then on, I just got hooked.
Which is really, really cool that you managed to find that, because that race was 2001, 2002. So that was just after your 470 Olympics, but you managed to then squeeze in 2004 and 2008 with the Europe and then the Tornado before we saw you back with Team SCA, which is the next question, or the center of the next question, which was which leg did you guys win heading into Lorient, which you've mentioned, and that was leg 8. So sort of a follow-on from Maiden, from Amer Sports 2 to Team SCA, the all-female team, and to win that leg. And I was there in Lorient. It was absolutely extreme. I've got a photo here, actually. I'll bring this frame up. There was just pink everywhere. Well, magenta. There was magenta everywhere.
Yeah, I think it was pretty clear that, you know, I guess in the Volvo Ocean race, especially back then, you can sort of talk about, you know, two races, the race on shore and the race on the water. And it's pretty clear that with Team SCA, we clearly won the race on shore. I mean, every stopover was pretty much magenta from start to finish. And that's just incredible. And Team SCA was a really, really special project. You know, it is a sponsor that from the beginning said, we want a women's boat in the race because 80% of their consumers are women. And so from the beginning, from the start, it was an A team. You know, we had a good budget, we had all the facilities. So it's just a golden opportunity for us as girls, as women, to finally get back into offshore sailing and to put women's offshore sailing back on the world map. You know, it had been 12 years since Amer Sports. So it was about time that something happened, and it's just pretty cool that, yeah, SCA embraced that. And we took it on, and we had a huge preparation time compared to a lot of the other teams in that edition of the race. But we really needed that preparation time because there was such a big gap in training and experience. You know, the guys had gone around the world 3 or 4 times while we hadn't. And so they had so much more experience. And so we had, you know, the best coaches. We had Brad Jackson, Jacques Signorini. In the beginning, we had Manga, who unfortunately passed away during our build-up in Lanzarote. But just, yeah, legends of the sport who helped us fast track. And, you know, our shore team was fantastic. They were all the best mentors. And it was, you know, in the beginning, when you set yourself a goal as a team and you have a goal as an individual as well, it's, you know, we want to do the best we can and you know, show that the women can be competitive in offshore sailing. And we were, I think after the first leg, we were 200 or 250 miles behind. And then that gap just got smaller and smaller until we went from, 70 miles behind, being 30 miles behind. And then all of a sudden, leg 8, we won. But it was coming, it was just, it showed that every leg we had showed that we'd come so close, but finally in leg 8, all the efforts from everyone, not just us sailors, but the whole team and the coaches and the management and the shore team, all the effort that everyone had put in for such a long time finally came out in that leg. And that was huge for everyone.
It was absolutely massive. And I mean, you said that you were behind in all of the ocean racing legs, but you did exceptionally well in the inshore racing. And I think some of the guys even learnt tricks with the tacking from you from memory in the way that you had learned to compensate for strength. You were efficient.
Well, I think, in the great thing about Team SCA, I think, was just the mix. We had an awesome mix on board. I spoke about Sam, but, we had Dee Kafari and huge offshore sailors with a massive amount of experience. But then we had a lot of dinghy Olympic sailors as well, and match racers. Sally Barker is a match racer and an Olympic sailor. So there was just a great mix of girls on the boat, and I think that's what really worked for us. And it was the easiest for it to come out during the import racing. I myself, I love the close contact and the start lines where you have to fight for your spot and fighting around the marks and being close to other boats, the competitive side of things, that's I guess when I'm really in my element. So and having that good mix, everything just seemed to fall into place during the import races, and I guess that's why we did so well.
Yeah, and I believe you came third in that import race series, and there was a bigger cheer for you guys than for Abu Dhabi. I think Abu Dhabi won the import and the round the world race that year, so they did the double. But in Gothenburg at the prize ceremony, when you guys got third, it was just the roof nearly came off. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think so. I think if at the end of or at the beginning of the race, someone had told us you're going to finish third in the import series and you're going to finish the race having won a leg. We would have signed for that. I think we can look back as it being a pretty good achievement, and we could have wished for more, but I think it'll go down in history as a pretty epic race and just a golden opportunity for all of us, I think. And and I think it was Magnus Olsen's idea, forming the team and getting all the girls together. And I think we have Mange and the management and the whole team a lot to thank for, because thanks to them, a lot of us are in the position that we are today.
Yeah. And then what Team SCA and now the Magenta Project has done, as you said, is helped to level up women in the sport. And what we saw come in the 2017-18 race was 2 women on each crew as a choice, but then you would get to take 2 extra crew members. So I think we might have a little bit of a break, and I will put on the interview that I did with you in Alicante before the start of the Volvo Ocean Race with Dongfeng. Before we do, we've got a few comments. So Alistair Murray says, "Hi, Carolyn, you and Bundy are great ambassadors for the sport," which is fantastic. Hi, Al. I've been wondering where he's been hiding. And when is Kyle, your son, getting into racing? He's got 2 great coaches as parents, and he's destined to be great himself. But as a sailor who's a daughter of a sailor, I know that as a parent, you would just want him to do what he maybe wants to do. Maybe that won't be sailing.
Well, I hope Kyle's going to be a racer, but at the moment it doesn't look like it's going to be in a boat. So he's not quite that keen on sailing at the moment. And I think, yeah, maybe we just do too much of it as parents and we talk too much about it. But yeah, Kyle hates sailing at the moment. It's all about soccer and his friends. And you know, we're not going to push him into sailing. Obviously, you know, we hope that one day he will enjoy it. But it's like you say, you know, it's about having fun, and it's about going out with having fun with his friends. And if it comes one day, it comes, and if it doesn't, he can. Maybe he should go and play golf or tennis and
see what happens.
And then we can retire.
Well, maybe. Oh, yeah, exactly. Maybe this year will be good for him. Here he is during one of your Volvo Ocean Race escapades. Maybe this year will be good, having you guys at home and seeing you around the place and, as you said, having a little bit of a break, which is nice for everyone. He's so little there.
He wasn't too impressed with me as a teacher, though, during homeschooling, so... I've really learned to appreciate the job that a teacher does, because it's quite tough.
Awesome. Well, let's go to a little break and we'll pop on that interview from just before Alicante so we can all have a little bit of a break, and we'll be back in about 4 minutes to continue chatting with Carolijn Brouwer. See you in a sec. This is Nick Douglas for Adventures of a Sailor Girl here outside the Dongfeng base with Carolijn Brouwer. Now, we're going to talk about this as being your 2.5th Volvo Ocean Race, or your third technically. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm really, really happy. I'm ready for tomorrow. We've had a really good preparation with Dongfeng Race Team. Super excited to be part of a mixed team and having the opportunity to sail with such gurus in the offshore sailing. And hopefully I'll be able to give them a little bit of my skills and as well. So really looking forward to tomorrow.
Absolutely, and you're looking exceptionally fit. I'm not sure if that's because you were made for this or because you've been working so hard. I think you were the first girl named to be part of this edition.
Yeah, that's right. I basically signed my contract end of January, so I started with the team the beginning of February. And I do feel very fit and strong. For me, it's really important. I remember with SCA 3 years ago, I worked really hard to get as fit as strong as I could. I had a little bit less preparation time this time. I do have to work very hard to gain muscle mass. So I've managed to do that over the last 6 months. And I feel like I'm in a similar position as when I started with SCA. And that's really important for me, because I think it gives me a lot of self-confidence going into the race, being fit, and it gives me a lot of mental strength as well. So,
absolutely. That said, I mean, you've done 2 Southern Ocean legs before, then with SCA, and now you're going for your third time around. You're the first girl signed up for a reason. Obviously, there's a lot of other people who have faith in you. That must be nice too.
Well, I hope so. You know, it's Charles, our skipper. He's done a really good job in surrounding himself by people that he thinks he can spend 9 months on a boat going around the world. And obviously, you know, in the good times it's always easy. Everyone's got a smile on their face, everything's going well, but it's especially during the bad times, and every team will have their moments where you need to really be able to get the best out of each other. And I think Charles has really thought very carefully about the people that he surrounded himself with, the group he created, so the sailing crew, and we do feel that we have a very strong and solid team. So it's not only about the sailing skills. You know, Stu's going around the world for the 8th time, so I'm really happy to be in a watch with Stu, learn heaps from him. But I think it's also about the people, the personality and the characters that you have on board. And I think we've got a great match there on Dongfeng.
Yeah, that's really important. And as you say, when you're in a high pressure environment and you're dealing with things on a long-term basis as well, because it's not like you're just going for one high intensity jaunt here, you see the best and the worst of people.
Well, exactly, and I think that's why it's really important to have a good preparation with each other. I mean, we saw that with SCA, with the girls. We had an 18 months preparation, and towards the end, you really know each other well. Yeah. You know each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, and I think it's the same thing with Dongfeng. We haven't quite had that long a preparation, but more than half of the team is the same team as last time with Dongfeng, which is great. And then, for Maria and myself to be able to join in and be part of such a team is a great honour.
It's absolutely awesome. And that's it. When we said the worst, there's also the best times. This is awesome. Having fun in the base this morning.
Yeah, I was in the Dongfeng Pavilion, and there's a couple of Chinese people. They were trying to grab one of these,
like a claw game.
Exactly, and there was a girl there. She was getting a bit frustrated because I think she tried 80 times. Lucky you don't have to put money in. And then I had a go, and I got this little mascot in my third attempt. So I'll be giving that to Kyle, my son, when he arrives in a few minutes.
That's so good, and you'll be spending the next 24 hours basically now with your family.
Yes, I do have a few other small commitments today, but most of my packing's done.
Yeah.
The boat's ready and the team's ready, so I think I'll have a few hours this afternoon that I can spend with Darren.
So there you go, catching up on what happened at the start in Alicante. A few little memories there.
Nice memories.
Yeah, some amazing memories. So our next question in the trivia following on from that was, what team was Carolijn Brouwer sailing with when she won the Volvo Ocean Race? Team SCA, Amer Sports 2, Dongfeng Race Team, or Team Brunel? It was C, because you did go on to prove that you were worth it. Well, the whole team was just phenomenal. Horace, Charles, and Marie Rao as well, who was the fellow female on board. I mean, you guys were just powerhouses in the end, but gosh, it was close, wasn't it?
Yeah, you could say that, Nick. It was pretty close, yeah.
Oh my gosh, and
it was
that was
pretty stressful towards the end.
Oh, I bet.
But fun.
Yeah. The next question in the trivia was, which boat was not involved in the tussle at the end? And it was, of course, Team Vestas, because you had Dongfeng, Mapfre, and Team Brunel all approaching your home port of The Hague, basically on top of each other. Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, it was actually it's a bit of a funny leg, that one, the last leg, because I'd always kept saying to everyone, it's so amazing, it's so competitive, and the racing is so close. You come on deck after you've been off watch, and you look around you, and you can often see one or two boats because the racing is so close, on a wide ocean, and you can still see two of your competitors, which is pretty amazing when you're racing around the world. And for this last leg, it's probably exactly what we wanted, is to see each other, and especially in our case, obviously, Mapfre and Brunel. And this leg was, full of exclusion zones and wind farms, and so it was actually the only leg where you wanted to see each other. We didn't see each other until probably about 10 miles before the finish.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, that made it, and us having chosen to go along the coast, and our two direct competitors had chosen to go into sea, to go offshore. We didn't see them for a huge part of that leg, and that made it extra exciting.
Unbelievable, just crazy. And yourself and Maria in the process, which was the next question, were you the first two females to actually win the Volvo Ocean Race? Which is true. It was true or false. You are the first females, and an amazing effort. But the final question in our trivia, which I really love. So we had true or false. It was true. Vestas wasn't included. When asked about the Dongfeng race team, this is the last question for the trivia. What did Carolijn Brouwer say? And the answer is A, and I love this, which is there's no women or men on this boat. We are the Dong Fong crew, which is just beautiful, really, because, and you said that from the start, there were no men or women. You were sailors. You were chosen for your sailing ability and not the fact that you just filled that female spot, which is incredibly important, I think, to show.
Yeah, I could have probably said any of those 4 answers, I think, but I have said from the start that Marie and I, and later on also Justine Metreau, who replaced Marie in a couple of the legs during the race. There was, as Dongfeng race team, we just had one goal, and we just wanted to win this race.
100%.
So once you step on board of that boat, it doesn't matter who you are, you're just a part of the puzzle. And all we're trying to do is we're trying to complete that puzzle as well as we can, and it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter how old you are. There was a pretty big age gap between a lot of, Black being Chinese, our youngest Chinese sailor being 24, and then Pascal, French sailor, turned 50 during the race. A huge different amount of cultures, nationalities. So we were all very, very different from each other. But I guess, that's what in the end resulted in the trophy, is that we just made it work because, we just gelled as a team, and we were a group that had just one goal, and we wanted to achieve that goal, and we did.
And how cool is that? And you've just outlined exactly why I love sailing. Men and women sailing together of every age with a goal, with plenty of planning, and in implementing that plan and pushing as hard as possible, you were able to win, which is just a beautiful thing, and I love it. So while we think about that, we're going to swap to the interview with you in The Hague and have a look at you right at the end of the Volvo. We both look exhausted, just quietly. So we look much more refreshed right now. So please forgive us for looking exhausted. You in particular. Let's have a look. This is Nick Douglas for Adventures of a Sailor Girl in The Hague with one of the first sailor girls to win the Volvo Ocean Race. So very exciting. Carolyn, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit tired.
I bet you are.
This week is shaping up to be harder than 9 months at sea. But I'm coping okay. I'm trying to enjoy it at the same time as well. So
absolutely. I think everyone must want a little bit of a piece of Dongfeng because it's such a good story. And the celebrations are even continuing next door. I think there was just a little match race between the two local boats from the Netherlands. And you're from the Netherlands yourself, so that must be, a lovely homecoming too.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a double celebration. Yeah. I knew I was going home. It was going to be special, and it's the last leg, so it's the end of the race. It means the end of the race at the same time, and to then be able to take the win and the way we took the win, because obviously with 3 boats on equal points, it was going to be a do or die leg, and we knew we had to step it up. And it was a gutsy move that we made, but we had to keep believing, and it paid off in the end.
It absolutely paid off, and I think a lot of people were watching what was happening, and it was sort of Matt Frey and Brunel on one side of the coin, and you guys on the other side of the coin, but then you just came in with such speed to that final rounding mark. You must have known that you had it in the bag a little bit sooner, but you probably didn't let yourselves believe it.
Well, we knew beforehand. We'd done our homework. Yeah. We'd been studying the leg more than any, prepared the leg so well with Marcel van Triest, our shore navigator. And, we knew we had to step it up and that we possibly had to take some risks. We'd been the most consistent boat in the fleet throughout the whole race, but we hadn't won a leg yet. So, besides trying to go and beat Brunel and Matt Frey, we were also going to try and win the leg, and we knew that we were sort of the first ones to make the choice to commit to the shore side, and we knew that whatever we did, the other two were going to go the other way. and that happened. And Marcia had also told us that it's going to hurt in the beginning. It's going to be very painful in the beginning, but your gain is going to come at the end. And once we passed the Dutch coast, the Den Helder, the top, that's where the speed started building, and that's where we started making our gains, and it was just enough.
Absolutely. We saw Matt Frey make a little wiggle. They sort of wanted to come with you and then bailed to go with Brunel, so they must have felt that hardness at the front, but you guys backed yourselves. And I know you say you haven't won a leg yet, but we saw you coming into Newport. You were so close, but then you won the one that mattered. Well, unbelievable.
Exactly. You know, we came close so many times, or actually we should say, you know, it was quite hard for us because in a lot of the legs we'd been ahead and we sort of gave the lead away. Yeah. So we knew we had it in us, but it just hadn't happened yet. And I guess, I can't think of a better leg to win than the last one into home. So it was a good one to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you've won 2 legs, essentially, because you won one with Team SCA into Lorient, and you've won one home. And that, you know, they're both equally powerful moments, probably. But that said, the picture of you with the trophy, kissing the Volvo Ocean Race trophy, I know that's going to inspire girls for a long time to come.
I hope so. You know, I think someone told me on the that on the website, apparently before the race, on the Dongfeng website, I have said that what do you want to be remembered for, and apparently I said that I want to be remembered as the first woman to win the Volvo Ocean Race. So here I am.
Yeah. That's absolutely amazing, and I know that your family will be really proud of you as well. They've been to a lot of the legs with you too.
Yes, of course. I've had amazing support, and I think I can speak for all the sailors. You know, if you don't have the backing of your family and the support of your friends and family, you cannot survive this race. And I was lucky enough to, you know, have Darren beside me, and my mum support me, and obviously Nell, our nanny, she's one of my best friends, and being a second mum to Kyle while I was at sea, and that really gave me a lot of comfort and took a lot of load off my shoulders. And knowing that he was getting the love and the care that he needed, and it's only that way that, you know, I can be myself out on the water and perform at my best. So that definitely helped me to win.
Absolutely. And then you've got your Dongfeng family as well. For those who have been to all the stopovers, I think Charles's little munchkin and yours, Kyle, are like besties now.
For sure, and they don't even speak the same language. You know, they're a big example to adults how, you know, they're 7 and 8 years old, and they come from different countries and don't speak the same language, but their communication skills are really good. So they set an example for us.
Some beautiful memories there. That interview goes on for another 5 minutes. We're just talking about, I know, but I thought I'd end it there because I remember so many times seeing Carl play. And we actually had a question before the show started, which was from Amelia Catt, who is one of the racers here in Australia. And she said, how do you balance everything? Because you seem like you're all over it and on top of it. And I know a lot of sailor girls wonder how you do it all. And I think that interview sort of speaks a lot about the network that you have. So I thought that might help you answer that question.
Definitely. You know, you talk yourself about, you know, the sailing family, and of course there was my Dongfeng family, but your own family, if you don't have their support, then there's no way that any of us sailors can get through this. And I guess, you know, for me it helped me recover and be ready for the next leg, having Kyle around and knowing that he'd be at the dock when we finish a leg coming into a stopover city, and knowing that I would be able to spend a couple of days with him. And it's almost when you arrive at the dock and you see the little guy standing there, then the rest of the world just seems to sort of disappear. And sometimes it's a little bit egoistic in a way, but all I have is I only have attention and time for the little guy. So you sort of step into his little world, and it's a really simple world, but it's a wonderful world to be in when you've been at sea for 20 days, because all you want to do is sleep and rest, and that's exactly what you get to do. You know, So you step into it's like stepping into a different world, and I guess doing that makes it so much easier to recharge the batteries.
Yeah.
So when you've been able to do that then for maybe 4 or 5 days, while the shore team is looking after the boat, then you come back refreshed again, and I think that really helped me. So yeah, being organized about it, and having the support of your family, and surround yourself by the people that you know are going to look after your child and give all the love and the care that your child needs, just makes it possible to leave the dock again without taking any baggage on board. So you're leaving with a fresh mind, and you're able to make that switch and focus on sailing and yeah, being the best crew member that you can be. And I think that's the most important.
Definitely. And then, because sailing is the way that it is, I was actually talking about it today. It's been convenient, I guess, that in 2016, Bundy was coaching at an Olympics. You had a Volvo in 17 and 18. Then he started prepping for 2020, or was doing that at the same time. But then 2020, there's an Olympics and then another ocean race if you were to do so. So thankfully, those calendars sort of meet. Not really, but different worlds is a good thing in the sailing realm.
Yeah, I think, when you want something really badly, and you can make it happen. It's often just, Bundy is quite good at saying it. He says it's just practicalities. That you can find solutions for it. The most important thing is that you get the opportunity to do what you love, and to be happy. And Bundy saw straight away in my eyes when I said that Charles had rung, and that there was a potential to be part of the Dongfeng race team for the next race. All I could come up with was problems. What are we going to do with Kyle? What if you're away? And and he says, and I just have to look into your eyes and see that you really want to do this, and so I have to let you do this because this is what will make you happy. And I guess that's how you if you talk about it, then that's what you do. Back in 2013, we made it work as well. I was living in Lanzarote, and Darren was with Oracle in San Francisco, and I remember I was having a week off in between our training blocks, and I was jumping on a plane and taking Kyle to San Francisco, dropping him off there, staying there for 5 days and flying back again. And when I think about that now, like I'd spend 6 weeks with Kyle in Lanzarote, and then I'd spend 6 weeks without him because he'd be in San Francisco with Bundy. And we did that for months in a row. And when I think about that now, I'm like, geez, that's crazy. But we did it because we both wanted something so badly. And I think in the end, the experience that Kyle's had, he's now 9 years old, and he's, flown around the world and seen some pretty cool places and learned about some pretty cool cultures and nationalities, and, is wanting to learn how to speak French and how to speak Spanish. And, I think it's a different probably upbringing than most of the kids here in the local area. But I think it's a pretty cool upbringing. So, I think it'll make him a more complete person. And I think, having him with me has made me a more complete person as well. So I think it's a win-win for everyone.
It's so lovely. He's also had it laid out in front of him that if there's something that he wants and he works hard enough, he can, make a good go of getting there. So that's a very important thing to learn too, I think. So then we move on to the last question in the quiz. Oh my gosh, we've held you up for over an hour now. I'm sorry about that. My cheeks are from smiling talking to you. It's so lovely. But the last question was really cool. What all-female team was Carolyn the helm for in the 2018 Rolex Sydney Hobart? The skipper was Stacey Jackson. The tactician was Katie Spithill, who works with us. And it was, in fact, Ocean Respect Racing, another team that captured the heart of everybody that was watching the Hobart that year. Oh my gosh. And you came so close. There's a beautiful picture by Salty Dingo with the Opera House. Wild Oats 10 rebranded. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was an epic short campaign, but a very cool campaign. And yeah, hats off and thanks to our very own Stacey Jackson for getting us all involved and, you know, having a vision and this idea and putting this team together. It's absolutely amazing. And yeah, I think we didn't have a lot of training time, but I think we just had great support. Obviously, you know, the Wild Oats family and 11th Hour Racing as a sponsor. And having a great boat and having awesome conditions specifically for that type of boat obviously helped us. Great forecast for Wild Oats 11 as a type of boat. So yeah, but we raced the boat really, really hard, and Libby took some really good navigational decisions. And yeah, it was a very close battle to the end, but a lot of fun.
It was. And you mentioned Dee Cafaro, who you raced with on Team SCA, and we can see your cute little cat sticking his head around the corner. And we might just have a quick little look at this interview that I did with you on board Wild Oats 10 with Dee and Katie just before the start of the Hobart, talking about what that program was all about. Just 3 of the awesome members of Ocean Respect Racing. I basically couldn't choose. I think there's 14 of you now, Katie?
Yeah, 14 great females.
I know, and I had to pick just 3 of you. Hopefully I'll talk to a few of you before the Hobart. But Dee, I mean, you've had a massive year. Katie's had a lot on her plate too, and so has Carolyn. Do you want to just tell me a little bit about what you've been doing and why it ties into this program, Ocean Respect Racing?
Yeah, well, following the end of Turn the Tide on Plastic in the Volvo, I've become quite a strong advocate for ocean health and following a lot of sustainability programs. And when Stacey put this project together with 11th Hour Racing, it sat perfectly and she invited me down. And at the end of the day, I've left the cold British weather for a month of sunshine in Australia. So I'm very happy. So thank you for having me, ladies.
And next I'm going to go to Carolyn, who is recently crowned World Sailor of the Year, female. I know, has won the Volvo Ocean Race with Dongfeng and just did the A-Class Nationals as well. You got out and Worlds and did a bit of dinghy racing too, which is great to see. Now you're here.
I know, it's awesome. Well, it's nice to be back in Sydney, obviously, and nice to be able to do my second Hobart with Ocean Respect Racing. I think there's a lot of experience there. What was it? 68 Hobarts
and 20-something laps of the globe.
Yeah, and about 16 or 17 laps of the globe. So the experience is definitely there, and we've been out the last few days training and done our shakedown sail to start with, and now we're actually getting out there and slowly getting all the boxes ticked. So yeah, I think we're on the good way and really looking forward to a good Hobart.
Yeah, absolutely. And today, awesome. That was a great one. And you came second overall. I remember chatting to you in the restaurant and gosh, it was close to a win there too. The elusive Hobart. Oh, will you have another go at the Hobart? Does that make you miss racing, watching that footage? I actually felt like going for a sail then. Oh.
Yeah, extremely. And missing it a lot, actually.
No.
Well, hopefully we will have a go at the next Hobart. I think it'll be a little bit of a different Hobart than we're all used to seeing. Maybe it'll be a bit more of a local Hobart. Maybe not seeing as many internationals coming over for that time of year. But yeah, definitely an opportunity there to maybe put a great team together again. Nothing planned yet, but plenty of ideas. And yeah, you know, with sailing, we're obviously in the winter season here, but sailing slowly, you know, starting up again after COVID, after restrictions, and also with the outlook, you know, of summer, spring and summer coming our way. Yeah, definitely a lot of ideas, and I think yeah, we will need all the support that we can get, but hopefully we'll be able to get a great team back on the water again for the next Hobart.
I'm so excited, and I think we'll have to finish there because I've kept you for over an hour. I know Bundy's getting home shortly. It's your birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Nick.
Yay. Happy birthday. I hope you have the best day with everybody at home. That sounds so great. And thanks for everything that you've done for sailing and pushing girls to the next level. It's been absolutely fantastic to catch up with you over the past few years and watch what you're doing. So I can't wait to see you racing in the Hobart. I can't wait to see some racing. Yes.
Well, and thanks to you, Nick. Thanks for having me, and thanks for everything you do for our sport as well, and for girls and women in sailing. So, thanks to you. Hats off to you.
Very lucky. Oh no, thank you so much. I think we'll bring T up and see if there's anybody that has any final comments. And Tiana, how many people took part in the quiz over this week? And I think we're near 90,000 so far.
Yeah, so with this week's season 1, we had 90,000 people take part in our trivia. Up until now, I think we've had a few episodes of season 2. We're about to hit 105,000. So yeah, it's really exciting.
That is exciting. Keep playing, people, and we're going to keep handing out prizes thanks to Pantaenius Sail and MAIDEN Yacht Insurance. Fantastic. And remember, at the end of the year in December, around Rolex Sydney Hobart time, hi Kat, around Rolex Sydney Hobart time, we're going to draw a major prize, which will be from our video competition as well as our trivia competition, which started at the start of lockdown. So that will be really cool. And again, thanks to Carolyn. Everyone wish her a happy birthday in the comments. And next week, we are set to have another female sailing legend who's been involved with the Olympics a number of times, given that it is meant to be a year until we'll see the Olympics. We're keeping the actual identity a secret, but you stay tuned, adventurers, for a fantastic sailor girl in just 1 week's time. We'll see you soon. Carolyn, thanks again, and enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, Nick. Have a
You're
great
welcome.
weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.